Truth, so the culture can thrive. We dissect every piece of the wreckage and rust, turning nautical tales into audible trust. So batten the hatches and lock the main gate. The Shipwreck Podcast is determining fate. Yo, we weather the storm and the squalls on the shore, dropping ill anecdotes that you ain't heard before. This ain't casting away, it's a deep sea dive, extracting the truth so the culture can thrive. We dissect every piece of the wreckage and rust, turning nautical tales into audible trust. So batten the hatches and lock the main gate. The Shipwreck Podcast is determining fate. Yo, we weather the storm and the squalls on the shore, dropping ill anecdotes that you ain't heard before. This ain't casting away, it's a deep sea dive, extracting the truth so the culture can thrive. We dissect every piece of the wreckage and rust, turning nautical tales into audible trust. So batten the hatches and lock the main gate. The Shipwreck Podcast is determining fate. Yo, we weather the storm and the squalls on the shore, dropping ill anecdotes that you ain't heard before. This ain't casting away, it's a deep sea dive, extracting the truth so the culture can thrive. We dissect every piece of the wreckage and rust, turning nautical tales into audible trust. So batten the hatches and lock the main gate. The Shipwreck Podcast is determining fate. Yo, we weather the storm and the squalls on the shore, dropping ill.
Yo. Welcome, everybody, to the Shipwreck Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Ship. What up, y'all? What up? Another exciting week in the books. Sorry about that. Another exciting week in the books. It's Wednesday once again. Another great week. Last week's conversation that we had with Cherie was outstanding. I really enjoyed it. I hope some of y'all picked up the book and started reading it. Again, I finished it last week, and it was really good. I'm happy and excited to talk about the topic today. I know I did put out there some homework, which was to look at Tatum is his name. I'm not even gonna call him an officer because I really don't have much respect for what he do. I'm not gonna give him respect to call him officer. But anyway, I decided not to really dive into him this episode, just simply because he's a character. His opinions aren't real. He's being paid to do to say what he says. He likes the notoriety. He likes being the raccoon in the house. So I'm not going to give him much of the time of day to infiltrate our community and our world at this time. Maybe, but if you want to talk about it some, I'm more than willing to talk about him some. But like I said, to me, it felt like after watching him and then seeing some of the other things that he's been saying about stuff in the world, it's just like he's a character, and he enjoys the notoriety and the money, obviously the money that he's getting. So with that being said, I just didn't feel the need to continue on with that. After talking to my brothers that on our accountability challenge. Speaking of that, we're not going to do that this week because they're traveling. Some of them are traveling, not everybody, but some of them are traveling, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to come on and speak about their challenge. So until we can get all of us together, I'm gonna hold off on that because, like I said, I just want everybody to be able to be here together. So we'll be talking about today another hot topic, another pretty good hot topic, because it was all over Black Twitter. What's going on with Tuskegee? They put out a dress code. No more bonnets, no more do-rags, no more sleepwear, sleep attire. So I want to get into that. I want to see what people's opinions are on that, because I got my own opinion. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But before we get started, like I said, I wanted to start this segment with us having this new player called named LeBron James on our team. Philadelphia is about to be the epic center of the world. We have been when it comes to America, but now we're about to be the epicenter of the world when it comes to sports because we are about to win a championship here. The Sixers are this year. I'm sure of it. It's happening. Put your money on it. So yeah, we're about to win a championship. So since we're about to win a championship and we are the epic center of sports, I wanted to go ahead and teach you, our audience, for those who are not from Philadelphia, some of our lingo, some of the things that we say. If you've worked with me, if you know me, you know this is part of my language, stuff I've been saying for years. But the first thing we're gonna go ahead and go to that, and then we're gonna go with what we missed last week because we didn't get into any world topics or anything like that before we get to our main topic. So with that being said, let's get to some more Philly words, some more Philly isms that we got going on. Here we go.
Words we still say wrong in Philly. Part 5. Let's do it. Proper. Fashion district. Philly, the gallery. And I'm never going to ever call it this shit up top. Ever. Proper. Specific. Philly. Pacific. Pacific. Proper. Pocket book. Philly. Pocketbook. Proper.
Absolutely.
Backpack. Philly. Book bag. Proper.
It is.
May I borrow a couple of dollars? Philly. Let me hold a couple of dollars. Couple of dollars. You hear that? Proper. Laundromat. Philly. Laundromat. Proper. Collard greens. Philly. Collard greens. First, got rest my brother's soul. But the proper way is Kyle.
No.
We all say cow. Like cow, big ass animal. Proper. Do you know what I mean? Philly. You know what I'm saying? Or you mean?
Absolutely. So those are this week's Phillyisms. You know what I mean? It's just how we talk. It's just who we are as a people. We absolutely have our own lingo and our own language. And so that's it. So now let's get to the next topic, which is the US government, the Trump administration could use your help, people. They have run out of ideas. And you're probably like, what? What the hell are you talking about? Well, let me explain it to you. The U.S. military, through Trump's direction, is asking troops for creative and unconventional ideas to punish Iran. Why? Because we lost the damn war. We're not going to win this damn war. And so they need ideas from the average Joe to figure out what the hell to do. Because we had no business starting this war. We had no business being in this war. So here we are now. Looking for some shit to do. So if you want, call the Pentagon and give them your idea. Teach them and help them out to figure out what the hell to do. Because at this point, all we can do is cut and run. And that's what I think goes to our next subject, which is where we get into what happened this all past week. Because that's exactly what I think is about to happen. We are about to cut and run. Once again, we thought the MOU was bad last time. I think this one is going to be a lot worse. I think we're going to actually have to give them the money up front. I think they will be charging fees for the Strait of Hormuz that Trump says that we control. I don't know how we control something that ships are getting shot all the time, but we're in control of it, and they're going to be in charge of tolls. How do you be in control of something, but somebody else is charging tolls for something you're in charge of that you say you don't want tolls for? Anyway, but yeah, that's where we are. This war is lost, in my opinion. It's lost. We lost it when we shot the first missile, not due to our great men and women of the military. You guys did your job. And I truly believe in y'all, believe in our military. As you guys know, with my nonprofit and stuff like that. The military is near and dear to my heart. So this is not on them. They're completing their mission, but the strategy overall is bad coming from our president, in my opinion. With that being said, let's talk about what's happened this past week. So, because like I said, last week we did not do anything when it came to world events and stuff like that. So the week that was, we're going to get into some foreign policy stuff, some with global security, some domestic policies with the immigration, some scandals, some political appointments and elections. Yeah, it was actually a pretty big week. All right, so the Iran deal. Here we are again. As you can see, we go round and round in a circle. We are at the part where Trump says that they're begging us for a deal. We are currently there. We may actually get a deal because we're the ones actually begging. And of course, Trump is going to say they gave us everything we want. We will not be getting nuclear inspections or anything like that. That won't be a part of the deal. The strait may be open, but the strait was actually open before we started the war. So we're just making it open again, I guess. I don't know. But the strait is going to be open, but Iran is going to be charging tolls, which they wasn't before. So I don't see how that's a win. But he's going to spin it into they're giving us whatever we want. Then what is going to happen is he's going to realize he's going to come out with this bad deal. He's going to realize, holy shit, I did this bad deal. It's terrible. I look like a loser. I can't look like a loser. And then he's going to say they're the scum of the earth. You can't negotiate with these people. Why? Because he's negotiating from weakness. And there's no way for us to get strength. We can't bomb them. There's not enough bombs. We're not going to put troops on the ground. God, thank God. Hopefully, we never put troops on the ground because that would be a catastrophe. So, what are we left with? Nothing but negotiations from a position of weakness. So, what happens again? We'll just start bombing them all over again. I hope we don't do this. I hope we just take this loss, put our tail between our legs, and sail on back home. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but the USS Abraham Lincoln has been out there. They've been out there longer than any ship since Vietnam. The family members on the ship is complaining and talking about it, that they're having terrible conditions. That some of the showers aren't working. The laundromat isn't working, so they don't have soap on board. They're running out of toothpaste. Like, it's terrible conditions going on because they only had one port of call in the last 3-4 months. And that was Oman, and they couldn't even leave the dock. It's really a terrible situation that our troops and our sailors and Marines and sailors, Marines, airmen, guardsmen as well are going through. And we just need this shit to end. We just do. We just need it to end. So yeah, that's where we are right now with the Iran war. And then we got the global fallout from the last time we were just bombing them. Crew went up to $100. It's back down to around 85, 86 now. So obviously, as we all know, gas had went up tremendously, back up about 60, 70 cents over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The yen is at its lowest point since the 1980s. And you're probably wondering, why the hell do I care about the yen? Why the hell do I care about Japan? One reason and one reason only. Japan owns more of our debt than any other country in the world. Let me say that again. Japan owns more of the United States government's debt than any other country in the world. If they start selling that debt, start selling those treasury bonds to help their yen, the price that we pay to continue to borrow money goes up. That means the interest rates goes up. That means that for everyday citizens, our mortgage rates, all of that stuff goes up. And what happens to our economy continues to go down. So we have to bail them out. So if you don't know or not, we're about to bail out Japan to keep them afloat, realistically, to keep us afloat. So yeah, that's going to happen. And the reason why this is happening, back to Iran. If we didn't bomb and went into Iran, this won't be happening because they're having an oil crisis in Asia. So as other countries, South Korea has had their market drop by 40%. There's so many things that are happening that we don't see here in our country that are happening all around the world because of this oil crisis that we have. And whether we want to realize it or not here, even though our gas only went up about $1.25, there's a serious oil shortage in this world. If you're watching right now, please hit like, please hit subscribe. If you want to join the conversation, you're more than willing to hit the link. I believe I put it in already into the YouTube. I put it into the Facebook. If you want to call, you can more than welcome to call the number 682-325-8160 and get on there and talk about this as well. Sounds like they need DEI candidates to help them think. They possibly do. They absolutely do. They could absolutely use some DEI. So that's what's going on with what's going on with Japan. Um, let's see, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia now can have nukes. Trump signed that deal with them about a week ago. No other president obviously will let Saudi Arabia have nukes. In case you didn't know, the vast majority of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. They don't need to have a nuke. Every president, again, I said before this, have said no, they can't have a nuke. And if they were, and we were to even think about them having a nuke, they need to have normal relations with Israel. However, you got to understand that Saudi Arabia has given Trump and his family billions of dollars. Let me say that again, billions of dollars. And with that money, obviously they're getting ungodly rich off of it. So Trump said, yeah, they can have a nuclear weapon. Well, not a nuclear weapon. They can have nuclear for quote unquote civilian purposes. Again, outrage. He realized it's a bad deal. He reneges it. Hey, if you really want that, you need to do normal relations with Israel. So now he's reneging on that one. So here we are with that. This one is a big one to me because it just shows you how the man really cannot fathom losing, which is why I believe the deal that quote unquote is coming down the pipe of Iran being in charge of the strait, he's not going to be able to swallow. And why do I say this? This is waterways. Water supply. Iran just attacked our water supply in Minnesota. Our intelligence community has said it. However, Trump's publicly blamed the state of Minnesota, the governor to be exact, for hijacking his own water and messing up his own water supply. Yeah, that's where we at, people. That's where we're at. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're going through this with this man. It really felt like I'm living in the Twilight Zone every time I turn on the TV or watch something on YouTube or podcasts and stuff like that to see that this man is actually in charge of us. Can you just imagine if Barack Obama would have said, yeah, the state of Arizona was hacked by Iran, yet he's saying, well, it's the governor's fault. That's why, they got a shitty governor, and that's what happened. What would be all over Fox News? What would be all over Fox News? It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely is. Which leads to the next one. All of these things that would be all over Fox News if this was a Democrat doing it. Then we got the ICE and deportations. In case you didn't know, the FBI would be no longer investigating confrontations with immigration agents. So in other words, if ICE shoots and kills you, the FBI will not investigate anymore. ICE internal affairs will investigate. So we're definitely going to get a fair shake out of that one. Fair investigations out of that. Also, asylum seekers are pushed into deportation proceedings without hearings. So they're basically deporting asylum people without even giving them their hearings and their rights. And deportation flights for Haitians are beginning to start. Again, he stripped away, I want to say about 1 million Haitians of their protected status, or close to maybe 100,000, something like that. And soon there will be starting to be deported to Haiti, which is a super dangerous country, a country to the point where our State Department do not want any Americans going to Haiti whatsoever. Yet it's safe enough to send the Haitians that have protected status back. However, we can accept white South Africans. We can do that. That's one thing that we can do. 99.95% of the refugees we have let into this country over the last year are white South Africans, because we can't have apartheid getting white South Africans, right? Yeah. All right. Continuing on. DHS resignation. We got the executive director of Homeland Security. Statistics, he resigned. Why? Because they were cooking the books. He says the administration is weaponizing statistics to wage war on immigrants. Who would have thought that? Government funding. This one, I'm not going to lie, chaps my ass. And if you wonder why someone like the Senate nominee, Aid, I think his name is, I'll get to him shortly. Why Democratic socialists are winning, why more progressives are winning, is because the Democratic Party has no backbone. I still hope and pray, and I'm still going to vote for them, that they win majority in the House and Senate, especially the Senate this coming cycle. But understand that the Democratic leadership that we have does not have any backbone. We don't have any messaging. All of these things are happening, but do you hear Democrats out there talking about it? Do you hear it on the news? Do you hear them, like, especially the next page? Do you hear they're not doing nearly enough fighting or anything to say that we want this country back, that we have to stop this radical shit from happening. So, case in point, the Democrats are signing or on board to sign a CR, continuing resolution for those who don't know, which is for the budget, which will fund the government through December 11th. It skips a showdown fight over the administration policies. So we're not going to get another fight over ICE agents. We're not going to get another fight over the Iran war. We're not going to get another fight over all the other different things that's going on with this country right now. We're just saying, we're good. We're not going to get a fight over healthcare. Healthcare is went up tremendously. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but Medicare is about to be slashed. Yes, let me say that again. Medicare is about to be slashed. So seniors is going to have to pay more for healthcare. Yes, seniors. And we're not even trying to fight for it. We're just going to say, we're just going, because they're feckless. But we got to vote for them because that's all we got. That's all we got. I don't know what else to say, what else to do. That's all we got right now. And one of these days, we're going to have a pot on what our choices are and how we can figure out some way to get them to have a backbone or find another way to get power to the people that can actually make changes. Right now, you have to infiltrate ourselves, just like how Trump infiltrated the Republican Party. And that's what these DSA members are. And that's the Democratic Socialists, people like Bernie Sanders, people like Mandami in New York, which is doing an outstanding and excellent job, in my opinion. Yeah. All right. Scandals. Again, this is why I say the Democrats are feckless, because we got all of this shit going on and we're doing absolutely nothing about it. All right. We got what's going on with Jim Comey, the surveillance. The Secret Service illegally surveilled former FBI director. He pinged his phone without a warrant, root home, staked out his home. Allegedly, the director and the president, and not alleged, well, I guess allegedly directed by the president from Air Force One. So basically, the president told them, do whatever you need to do to arrest him. Do whatever you need to do to get whatever evidence you need to come up with this bogus charges of the 8647 charges that was brought against him that will be dismissed any moment now. It's really absolutely ridiculous. Hey, what's going on from New York, people? How y'all doing? If you want to join the pod, you're more than welcome to. All you got to do is click the link that's either on the Facebook or on the YouTube, or call a number and join the pod. We're going to continue on though. Max Miller allegations. Domestic abuse allegations against Ohio congressman gained traction. In case you didn't know, this is a congressman from Ohio who have allegedly beat his wife, allegedly broke his infant child's collarbone, allegedly beat up his ex-girlfriend before he was married, who happened. And before you say, well, could this have been possibly a Democratic setup? That yada 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 yada. His ex-wife is the daughter of the current senator from Ohio, Moreno, who, in my opinion, is a piece of shit father, because it took until yesterday or the day before yesterday for him to come out and say anything negative about him, that he shouldn't be running or that he's a piece of shit. If you was beating on my daughter, number one, I'm coming after you. Number two, I'm screaming to the rooftops, don't vote for this fucker. Plain and simple. I don't see how you could ever vote for anybody like that. But here we are. But yeah, so he comes out publicly a couple of days ago and confirms that his daughter's accusations are true. Again, what politics over family? Never. If you're a sitting senator, president, congressman, school board member, you did something to my child, everybody's going to know about it. Period. Social media bribes. This is one that really takes me out, because I couldn't even imagine Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, any Democrat getting away. This would be all over Fox News. So in case you didn't know, If you wanted to go pay $100,000 a month, so that is 1.2 million a year, you can get early access to Donald Trump's tweets on Truth Social. And those tweets will give you market moving information before the public knows it. So in other words, for $1.2 million a year, you can have information, go to your Robinhood. We actually wouldn't have Robinhood if you were spending that much money. Go to put it in your algorithms and buy the companies up before the price shoots up once the president sends his tweets. Let me say it again. For $1.2 million, you can get the president's tweets early. So that way you can buy the stocks before the world gets to know what the government is doing with these companies. And make millions, make billions. He's doing this shit from the Oval Office. People need to go to jail. He needs to go to jail, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But he's immune by the Supreme Court. Yeah, because he's just going to say any official actions are immune, regardless of the thinking for why. And this is actually in the Supreme Court's order. Regardless of the reason why he did what he's doing, reason why, even if it's for money, we can't think about that. It's an official action, so he's immune for it. Yeah. But you know who ain't immune? The people who pay for it. The people who pay the bribe. They're not. They should be prosecuted. People have to go to jail. When this administration is over, people have to go to jail. Let me say that again. When this administration is over, people have to go to jail. They have to be ostracized from public society. Because if they're not, they're just going to keep doing it all over and over and over and over again. We cannot fix our country and our government if we don't hold them accountable for the bullshit that they're doing. And not just for this bribe, but for what's going on with the ICE, the detentions, taking people's civil rights away. Inhumane conditions and for people with detentions. There's so many different things that people has to go to jail for when it's time. Here's another one. Capital One. In case you didn't know, you probably didn't hear about this. Trump sued Capital One for closing down his bank accounts. So Capital One said, okay, this is why we close them. And they put this in a filing to a judge. So under the laws of perjury, they put this into the filing. A court filing says Trump accounts were closed in 2021 by the bank anti-money laundering team. Not for politics. Its review found suspicious transaction patterns and acted under federal obligations. Let me say that again. Capital One found that they closed about 300 of his bank accounts. Hundreds of his bank accounts was allegedly his transactions allegedly was laundering money. Have you heard about it? Are we talking about it? Is it all over the news? Yes, it's alleged. But let's remember, his organization was sued civilly and criminally, convicted criminally in New York City for tax evasion. They were sued civilly by New York State for fraudulent practices and tax evasion. Both of them found guilty. Now remember, his family, Trump, nor his sons can sit on a board for nonprofits because their nonprofit was fraudulent. Now remember, Donald Trump University paid $25 million to the students for fraudulent practices. Yeah, this is where we are, people. This is the president of the United States. This is the president that we have right now. It is absolutely atrocious. I don't see how any sane, rational person can think that any of this is okay. Yet, here we are. But you haven't even heard about any of this stuff on the news. Or maybe you heard about it for a second and then it went away. All right, now let's get to the reflecting pool. We talked about this for a couple of weeks ago. The pool came out shitty. Yeah, we paid $14 million, no big contract, given to somebody that used to work for him at one of his resorts. He gave him a bid for $14 million to fix the pool. Pool was not fixed. Instead of Trump saying I hired a shitty contractor because he can't take a loss. He can't take a loss. Let's go back to Iran. He's not going to be able to take a loss. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's not going to be able to take a loss. We're going to be back in this circle again. Anyway, but back to the pool. DOJ just dropped the case against an innocent man facing 10 years. The damage was shabby. The damage was done by shabby contractor work, not a vandalism. Officials kept pushing the vandalism narrative anyway. They're still pushing it now. He's mad at Janine Pereiro, or whoever how you pronounce her name, because she dropped the case. She had no choice. Dropped the case to lose her law license. It's that simple. But again, you got to understand, even dropping a case, this man had to hire a lawyer. This man had to worry about his freedom, even though he didn't do anything wrong. Because that's what happens when you accuse of stuff and you know you didn't do it and you didn't do it. Here we are. So now, yes, the case may have been dropped. If I'm him, I'm suing the government for false prosecution because it was bullshit. And they put it in the filings. Yeah. That's why DOJ is actually fighting with Perino, whatever her name is, just currently fighting with Interior Department because they knew that it was bullshit and had the records to prove it. And when she got the records, she realized she couldn't prosecute anymore, which again, it is prosecutorial misconduct in and of itself, simply because you should have all the evidence before you prosecute somebody anyway. You should have enough. You should know that sculpatory information before you prosecute anyway. Yet they did. All right, continuing on, people. The pardon power. I'm going to take myself off because I want everybody to see this one. A jury convicted 2 D.C. police officers of covering up a murder. Let me say that again. A jury convicted 2 D.C. police officers of covering up a murder that they committed. A judge sentenced them to prison. Trump just pardoned them. So we're pardoning cops who commit murder and cover it up. Yeah. I 1,000% believe that they're Trump supporters. That somehow, some way, some organization got to Trump to get them to pardon. Because that's how it works now. You get pardons, you pay for pardons. I'll say this 1,000 times. Donald Trump, nor the Republican Party, gives a fuck about the police. They may have pardoned these 2 guys, but they're criminals. They're not police officers. Because if they cared about the police, there's no way in the world that they would have pardoned all those people from January 6th. Yet, many police officers still back this fool. Every time I see the back the blue flag, I just think of the Confederate flag. It's one and the same to me. Because all it's saying to me is, shut up, black people, sit down. Because we can have corrupt cops when they're coming after Trump. They can be corrupt. Definitely, y'all can be corrupt then when they're coming after Trump or any MAGAs, with the 1.6 slush fund because we need to pay them because it was all corrupt. Those cops are corrupt. But the cops that when something happens to a minority, nah, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Know your role. Know your place. Yeah. All right. Let's continue on. Political appointees and elections. Todd Blanche. He got through the committee He's confirmed to be confirmed. So he's got through the committee. So he's on his way to probably being confirmed uh for the Senate. Um the two holdouts on the committee were Tom Tillis and John Cornyn, two people whose careers ended because of Donald Trump. And both of them voted for him because he came out because Blanche finally gave them a memo that really means absolutely nothing. There's nothing that is a law. There's nothing that is an order. It's just a memo that says that they won't try to bring up the slush fund again. So everything that's happening, 3 million files that we didn't, not listening to the law and disregarding the law for the 3 million files that haven't been released for the Epstein files. That's cool. Coming up with the slush fund in and of itself, that's cool. The corruption of that. Coming up with the settlement in and of itself of settling of Trump suing himself, which is suing the federal government, which is he's in charge of. A judge actually saying that the whole lawsuit and everything was probably a corrupt act in and of itself. That's okay. But as long as you give me a little baby memo that don't mean shit, that you're not going to give the 1.6 billion, the 1.76 billion actually to the January 6ers. I guess I can. Even though he kicked you out of Congress, they have no fucking decency for themselves. It's absolutely atrocious. Again, here we are. Yeah. So he's probably gonna be confirmed because Susan Collins says she's not voting for him. So whenever she says she's not voting for him, that means she got the room not to be able to vote for somebody, which means that they probably already got the 51 or 50, the 50 that they need to confirm him. In my opinion. So he probably will be confirmed here in the next week or two. Good news. Trump has hit the Bush line. And probably people's like, well, what is the Bush line? Well, the Bush line is 34%. That was the percentage that George Bush got to when he was no longer invited to anything by Republicans running for office. And Trump has just gotten there. So that is good to see that a lot of the country is waking up. I don't think we're going to get too much lower past that. Maybe we may get to 30 because I do believe that there's a third of this country that are just in the cult and they will continue to support this man no matter what. So there we are. Michigan elections happened yesterday. And Abdul Al-Said went up against Haley Stevens. Abdul Said was the Democratic Socialist candidate. He believes in Medicare for all, which honestly I do at this point. He believes in stopping to give Israel money, which I do at this point for military purposes. He believes in trying to fix our schools and taxing the rich, which I absolutely believe in. He won. He won against the moderate candidate, Haley Stevens, who was a sitting congressman from Michigan. He won by 1%. So now we have a showdown. It was him versus a Trumper that ran last time for the Senate. So we're going to see what happens there. Couple absences we still have in Congress. We got Kate Granger. She's been in hospice for the last 3 months, and she just passed away. God rest her soul. I'm gonna just leave it there. She again, we I think we need to have term limits in this country. We do not leave people in their late 70s, 80s, 90s serving the people. And obviously, we're still waiting for the Mitch McConnell news. He's still absent, and we get a proof of life every now and again. He's still holding on for dear life. Yeah, I don't know what we got going on there. All right, so by the numbers again, we got the crew that went up to 100 and back down. Oh, with Haley Stevens, one of the biggest reasons why she lost is because Israel was backing her. AIPAC gave her $30 million, and I think that was one of the biggest reasons why she lost. Again, we had the Bush line for Trump, and we're at December 11th. That is when our new CR that the Democrats, the feckless Democrats, are agreeing to without getting anything. So there we go there. And that was our week that was. Hope everybody learned something there. It was a really tumultuous and eventful week, I'll say. All right, so now we're gonna go to our final subject of the day. Again, if you want to join the podcast, you're more than willing to. Just hit the link that's up there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Also, please, if you want to just call in, you're more than welcome to. Just hit the number, call the number that's out there at the bottom of the screen. But last and least, I want to talk about the bonnets and the dress code, the bonnets and do-rags. So I got a short little video to give you an absolute synopsis on what's going on, and then I'll tell you my opinion, and hopefully I can hear from you guys and see what you guys' opinion is.
Social media is in an uproar following Tuskegee University's announcement of a dress code ahead of welcoming students back to campus.
And WVTM 13's Kayla Davis sat down with a Tuskegee grad and an incoming freshman to hear their thoughts on this controversy. Kayla, what has changed and why are so many people reacting now?
Carla Guy, we first have to establish the fact that this is not necessarily a new thing. I found a Tuskegee University handbook from more than a decade ago that says students are required to dress in, quote, good taste. Now, where all of this recent controversy comes from is a message from President Dr. Mark Brown that specifically listed what students cannot wear on campus, and the takes on that message are now going viral on social media. No bedroom shoes, no bonnets, and no do-rags to class or the cafeteria. That's only some of the updated dress code policy at Tuskegee University. The announcement has taken social media by storm, with opinions split over whether the rules are appropriate or an overreach. Kaylin Parham, a 2022 Tuskegee grad, says the discourse has been shocking.
So when I'm seeing it blowing up all over the internet and the shade room and every which way, I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Y'all talking about my school?
The updated policy also requires students to wear business attire for business meetings and to avoid revealing clothing in class, the cafeteria, and convocation. Parham says this has always been the norm.
That was normal to see our men walking around with suits or a nice, shirt and tie, and the ladies all dressed up, even if they weren't going anywhere. It was just normal.
The main debate on social media surrounds wearing do-rags and bonnets in public. Parham agrees with the university's message, but says the reaction on social media has gone too far.
I've never seen anybody walking around with a bonnet on at school, outside of the dorm. I've seen some very distasteful, AI images of students, and they're showing us on campus with bonnets and do-rags. It's all fake news. It was never about bonnets and do-rags.
I asked her when she thinks the switch happened.
After COVID, you don't know what anybody's wearing to class because it's just a bunch of black screens on your computer.
And with all the added attention, she worries incoming freshmen may be left with a bad taste in their mouth. But not for Tia Bird. Despite her classmates' hesitancy, she says she sees the purpose.
It's our home away from home, so the part where it's being enforced in dining halls and areas that they say is kind of like our kitchen, I kind of see the pushback from that. But of course, being prepared for our professional careers, I see the purpose.
You should present yourself in the best way possible, and a lot of that has to do with appearance.
Well, I did reach out to Tuskegee for comment and was referred to the original message sent out to students. It says, in part, the goal here is not meant to restrict you from enjoying the Tuskegee experience, but to prepare you with a solid foundation for the workforce you will enter once you leave Tuskegee. Kayla Davis, WVTM 13.
All right, so let me start with, I've never been to college. I never lived on a campus, so I really can't speak to any of that. However, I was a little conflicted when I first started thinking about this. I was like, let people wear what they want or whatever, because I know, I am one to run to the store with my sweatpants on and my slides, and just, I'm one of those people that I'm confident with who I am and what I do. I don't need to be impressing anybody. That was my first inclination. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, they're there to learn. They're there to grow up, become more mature. They're there to learn how the world works to some extent, to a lot of extent, actually. So you shouldn't be going to school with, do-rags and bonnets and sleepwear. So I came on the side of, I think the dress code is appropriate. If it was a problem, and people coming out there with this, obviously it had to be for them to bring it up, but maybe it wasn't. If you come to school with your slippers on and pajamas on, nah, you are there to learn. You're there to learn what it's like to be in society. To a certain extent, you should act like it. It's your place of business. You're in school because that's how to teach my kids. School is your business. That's your job. So if that's your job, you should dress accordingly. I can't dress them. Don't get me wrong. I put. I wear t-shirts. I wear jerseys. I wear whatever I want to work. Within reason. You know what I mean? I'm not going in there. With my wave cap on, even if I had hair. I'm not going in there with my wave cap on. I'm not doing those things like that. I think if you were going to Harvard, would you change the way you dress? Would you be going to Harvard in sleepwear? If you was going to UNT Austin, would you be going to sleepwear? You know what I mean? If you was going to Cal, would you be doing that? No. So why would you do it if you're going to HBCU? That's how I feel about it. So, in my opinion, I feel like they should dress accordingly. Um, I'm not saying you need to be dressing to impress. But I'm just saying, just put some shorts on, put some, I'm okay with basketball. I'm okay with sweatpants. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being comfortable, learning comfortably. But do rags, the bonnets, the sleepwear, the slippers. Nah, I'm even okay with flip flops. I'm okay with flip flops, but I ain't cool with slides. The slippers, the house shoe slippers. I think you need to be somewhat presentable, somewhat ready to go. And I understand is that there has been some people will say, well, where does it end? Next day you say you can't wear different stuff. You can't wear stuff that may I don't know, political stuff, or you may can't wear, can't wear this, can't wear that. I don't know. I can't think of any things right now, but I understand it could be a slippery slope, but I think in this case that you should definitely dress, just be ready to be ready, for work. Be ready because that's your job. And dressing like that, I don't think is appropriate. What say you people? If you got opinion, put it in the comments, call me up or hit the phone number. But that's really how I feel about it. I just feel like we just don't have to I don't see we don't have. I just feel like you should present yourself in a better light. Do what you would do if you was in um an Ivy League school. You know what I'm saying? Like don't treat a HBCU differently than you would treat any other school that you would go to. You know what I'm saying? To me that's no different than just because you're a guest in my house, treat my house just as well as you would treat a house that you may not know them as well. That's how I feel about it. So there we are. Again, if you got any comments, lay them down now. I think it's about to be a short pod. I've been talking for 50 minutes straight. That is the longest I've ever talked, to be honest with you, out here on the pod. I'm really, really hope you guys learned something once again. It has been a great week. I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks. Next week we will the pod will be here, but we'll be in a different location. I'm going hitting the road. But I'm taking the equipment with me. So we still gonna be same time, same bat channel. But we're gonna be hitting the road and then for the next few weeks, next month, really month and some change. Well, that being said, I think it's time to go to cleaning our palettes. And my palette cleaner today is something near and dear to my heart. It's my daughter. She just recently graduated from dental tech school, and she's about to start working here shortly as a dental assistant. And I'm really, 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 really proud of her. She's on her way. Eventually, she's going to get to where she wants to get to. She got this is just a stepping stone for her to get to where she wants to get to. But I'm very proud of her. So clap it up again for her. Congrats. And yeah, with that being said, I love you guys. I appreciate everybody listening and watching the comments that we did get. I hope you learned something about what's going on with this week. Again, the scandals are absolutely atrocious. Closing 300 bank accounts for money laundering, allegedly. Wow. Pardoning to 2 cops who covered up a murder. Wow. Giving Saudi Arabia nukes after they paid your family billions of dollars. Coming up with the social media thing. The social media, that in and of itself is absolutely great. $100,000 a month, 1.2 million a year, and you get access to stuff that other Americans can't get access to. So you can play it in the market. So when other people get access to it, you'll make money. That's not corrupt to y'all? That's not corrupt? We in it, y'all. We in it. But again, people have to go to jail, and hopefully they would. But again, we got to clean our palate again with my daughter. She finished school. She's about to start working here. So we got to keep the palate clean. Keep the palate clean. I'll see you guys next week.